What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to the Neighborhood Podcast. One of the hosts of the podcast. My name is Kyle Dabro. And in this segment, we're going to go over the upcoming matchup that's going to feature the Cincinnati Bengals and the Tennessee Titans. Just to give you guys a quick refresh of where both teams stand right now, the Bengals have a 6-4 record and they're currently second place in the AFC North. And with the Tennessee Titans, they have a 7-3 record and are currently first place in the AFC South. So this is actually going to be a pretty compelling matchup when this game kicks off at 1 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. To me, there's two factors at play for this game that are pretty significant as far as I see it. The first one being is whether or not that Jamar Chase is going to play for the Bengals. He's been dealing with an injury the last couple of weeks, and there was a question of whether or not he was going to go on IR or not, and the Bengals decided to act against that notion, and there's a very good chance that he could actually play this Sunday. He has been practicing on a limited participation basis, and if he were to be starting for the Bengals in this Titans game, I think that would give the Bengals a pretty significant boost offensively. Obviously, with Jamar Chase, he's one of the best receivers in the NFL. He's still rather young. He's only been in the league for a couple years at this point, but the impact that he's brought for the Bengals has been a significant one. And you pair him alongside Joe Burrow, that connection that Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase have, it's just phenomenal as far as I see it. And we would have to see whether or not that Jamar Chase would be 100%. I think more than likely he's going to be close to that, maybe 90-95% if he's still somewhat recovering from that injury that he's been dealing with the last couple of weeks. But it would be a major boost for the Bengals if they were to add Jamar Chase back into the fold. Unfortunately for the Bengals, they will be missing Joe Mixon in this game. He sustained a concussion against the Steelers last week, and he's already been ruled out for this game. So Samaje Perine will get the start, and he's coming off of a pretty productive day against the Steelers last week when he had 3 touchdowns against Pittsburgh. So that's one factor. The other factor is whether or not that Derrick Henry is going to be able to be successful on the ground against this Bengals rush defense. The Bengals have what I would consider a middle of the pack rush defense. They've done a pretty solid job the last couple of weeks in essentially slowing down an opposing team's rushing attack. And I think that this would definitely be a major challenge for them simply just because Derrick Henry is an absolute beast. He's one of the league leaders in rushing this year. He's been a consistent mainstay for the Titans rushing attack for the last couple years. And if the Bengals cannot slow him down in any way, shape, or form, the Bengals are going to have a long day defensively because Derrick Henry can easily pop off for 125, 150 if he really gets going, somewhere up to 175 yards rushing if he gets 25, 30 carries. And that's definitely a workload that he has consistently seen throughout his tenure with the Titans at this point. So that's going to be a big point of emphasis when it comes to the Bengals defense. If they could slow him down, that would put all the pressure on Ryan Tannehill to essentially carry this offense for the Titans. And to me, it's iffy with him. You don't really know what you're going to get with Ryan Tannehill. You may get a game from him where he's relatively consistent as far as passing the ball, and then you could have games where he's really inconsistent turning the ball over and putting the Titans behind the 8 ball. But, when you look at the Titans this year, they are 7-3, and by and large, their offense has been kind of sporadic this year, and it's largely been predicated on their defense. Their defense has been really solid the last 2 months. The last time that they gave up over 20 points in a game was against the Raiders, and that was 2 months ago. So when you look at their slate of games that they've had since then, a lot of times the Titans are holding opposing offenses to 10 points, 17 points, 14 points. They are doing a great job in slowing down the opposing offense to essentially teen-digit number performances. And that's what the Titans are probably going to be banking on in this game against the Bengals. But this is a really difficult challenge for them simply just because the Bengals, the last couple of weeks, have been putting up over 30 points consistently. And if they're potentially getting Jamar Chase back in the fold, there's a really good chance this Titans defense could be on their heels if Joe Burrow is consistent and not turning the ball over. So as far as I see the result going in this one, I'm actually going to favor the Bengals in this one. This game is on the road, so this is definitely going to be a challenge for Joe Burrow and the Bengals to go into a hostile territory in Nashville. But I think overall, I think this is going to be a game where the Bengals are going to continue their offensive success by putting up 25, 30 points in this game. I do have to respect Tennessee's defense simply just because they've been phenomenal the last 2 months of the season. But I think this is one of those games where they get exposed. And when it comes to the Titans defense, the only game where I've seen them get outright exposed was against the Bills. Granted, that game took place over 2 months ago, and their defense does not have the same look as it did then compared to now. But when you got a lot of targets to contend with Jamar Chase potentially, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, that's going to be difficult to deal with. And not only that, Samaje Perine is no scrub coming out of the backfield. So I wouldn't be surprised if Samaje Perine gets decent touches here, that he could definitely have a focal impact for the Bengals offense. And I think when it comes to the Titans, they're going to have to contend with these targets that Joe Burrow is going to be able to deal with here. And I'm not sure that the Titans are going to be able to rise to the occasion to really get this game in their favor. I think if the Titans were to make this a game, they would have to force Joe Burrow into some turnovers. And there is a chance that Joe Burrow can actually do that because the last couple games, he has been a little bit more turnover prone. So if the Titans are able to break on some passes, potentially get some turnovers, I think that they could get some points off of those turnovers and then possibly make it a game from there. But to me, the Titans, they would have to really focus on slowing the game down, giving Derrick Henry a bunch of touches to just essentially chew clock and keep the ball away from Joe Burrow and that Bengals offense. I think that's the only way that the Titans would be able to win this game. I don't foresee that happening. I think the Bengals defense is going to be able to rise to the challenge to be able to limit Derrick Henry. Not full right stop him, but limit him to about, I'm going to say about 75 to maybe 100 yards rushing. If the Bengals can do that, I think that they can live with that at the end of the day. But as far as I see this game playing out, I do think it's going to be very competitive. I think this is going to be a one-possession game when it's all said and done. And I'm going to favor the Bengals in this one. I'm going to say the Bengals win this one by the score of 27-23. I think the Bengals are going to be able to put up a couple touchdowns early in this game, and I think they're going to be able to force maybe a turnover from Ryan Tannehill in this game. And I think that could be a difference maker if they're able to cash in off that turnover to get points in return. I think that's going to be huge for them. And I think when it comes down to it, when we get to the fourth quarter, I just have a little more faith in Joe Burrow and the Bengals than I do with the Titans to be able to make the plays, to be able to execute, to finish the game. But I will say that the Titans have every right to go out there and win this game. This is going to be a back and forth game as far as I see it. And just because I picked the Bengals, it doesn't mean that I foresee a scenario where the Titans win at home and bump up to an 8-3 record. They definitely have the pieces to be able to do that, not only on the offensive side of the ball, but on the defensive side as well. So no matter how this game plays out, I could see both teams winning. I just think that the Bengals have too prolific of an offense for that Titans defense to handle. And to me, that's going to be the deciding factor as far as I see it. So with that said, you guys, that'll wrap it up for me. If you guys enjoyed the content, hit that like button below. And if you guys want to see more content from us, hit that subscribe button below. We have content rolling out every day. But that's all I got from here. So once again, thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you guys later.